Gapada, gadapa, sada bagare, sada bagare, gai sare, sada bagare, gai sare. जा तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं, जा तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं. Gapada, gadapa, sada bagare, gai sare.
This is our second meeting on the subject of this koan. If you meet a Buddha on the road, kill him. If you meet a Buddha on your path, on your way, kill him. And at the end of our previous lecture, we talk more or less about the objects. What is an object? We say that an object is anything that can be observed and is different from the subject that is an observer. An object is anything that can be perceived. And is different of a subject as the perceiver. An object is anything that we can think about, talk about, believe on it, develop certain relation with. Anything that we can relate as somebody or something. From our early childhood, we only perceive objects. From the first day in the planet, we born into an objective concept of life. That means everything what we perceive or relate to are objects. Physical objects, mental, emotional, energetical objects. Objects that we like and others we detest. Others we are proud of and others we hide. Objects we aspire, we want. And objects we escape of. Some make us happy and some scare us. Others make us cry. Some of them are holy, sacred. Others are secular. Some objects we consider material, but others are spiritual. Astral objects, divine objects. This objective concept of life doesn't mean that we only perceive ourselves as objects. A body that is an object, a mind that is an object. Doesn't mean we only perceive ourselves as body, mind, object. But objects is all we perceive. Everything we perceive as somebody or something. We should make a lot of efforts in order to be somebody in life. We always think something. We feel something for somebody. If somebody is not there, we are alone. So our life is always full of some things and somebody's in some way or other, in every level. And the ego is nothing else but an effort to objectivize ourselves, to believe ourselves to be somebody. When we do our first steps in spiritual life or in the path to the truth, we arrive to the conclusion that our material life is nothing else but make a lot of efforts to pursue money, cars, houses, possessions, material objects. And many of us, in our first meeting with religious priests, arrived to the wrong conclusion, to the big mistake to think that spiritual life means to pursue spiritual objects. The ambition is the same. Our desires are there. But we give up cars, money, all kind of material objects in order to pursue with the same ambition, with the same greediness, angels, energies, light, devas, and all kind of spiritual objects. We give up our desires to live in Beverly Hills because it's a material place, a materialistic place. But now we have the ambition, the greediness. We want to live in paradise. We want a bungalow in Krishna Loka or in the paradise full of jewels, but they are spiritual jewels, spiritual trees, spiritual houses, spiritual bodies, spiritual objects. And God is a person, and person is an object. So in some way, for the beginner, the difference between material and spiritual life depends on the subtlety of the objects that you pursue. If you are a materialist, your ambition is for solid material objects. But if you are spiritual, you have the same ambition, even greediness, for very subtle, astral, spiritual, divine, religious objects. And this is a big, big mistake. A chakra is an object, energetical object, and the energy of the Kundalini, these are energetical, spiritual objects, but these are objects. And a spiritual seeker, a real spiritual seeker, a seeker of truth, don't run after objects. Ayeka, you look for, where are you? And even he don't look for the subject, because object and subjects belongs to the dual relative platform. A real spiritual seeker look for the subjectivity, the perception, not for the perceived and not for the perceiver, not for a witness that is still part of the dual game, but for the perception itself. When the spiritual seeker begin to understand or develop certain understanding about consciousness, to look for perception, the self, your real nature, what you really are. It's inevitable that you will look for something. When you hear about the observation, not what is observed, and not the observer, but the observation itself, and you even think about it or study about it, hear about it, it's inevitable that you think about something or somebody. Depends the level of your development. First, you have all the personal religions that look for somebody, develop relation with somebody. That somebody can be Shiva, Krishna, Allah, the Father, God, whatever. But it's somebody supernatural, etc. They create, but it's somebody. And then you have the religions that they look for something. They negate God as a person. They laugh on the people who run after God as a person. But they pursue something. That something can be Brahman, the absolute, the Tao. But doesn't matter how subtle you put it, doesn't matter how abstract you put it, doesn't matter, it's still an object. It's still Brahman is something and your Tao is something. That is the reason the Tao Te Ching begin with whatever way you can relate to the Tao. It is not the Tao. If you can mention in some way the Tao as something, that something is an object and is not the Tao. However, our own experience, the experience of Eheye Asher Eheye, Uhaya Uove Uihiye, that is the Yud Cave of K. Your own experience of I am, and I know it. I exist, and I know it. That anybody that will come to you and tell you, you exist or you don't exist, you will argue. What you mean is obvious. I know I exist. This is an experience. We talk about it. And this experience tell us that the presence that we really are lacks objective qualities. That means your real nature is not an object. Consciousness, awareness, perception is what observe objects and lacks objective qualities, because if awareness had objective attributes, will be perceived as an object, but then will be no awareness or the subjectivity anymore, will be simple another object. If consciousness can be perceived on the dual platform, on the relative platform, as an object, you can be sure this is not consciousness, this is not perception, but another object, because perception is what perceive objects. So it is not difficult to realize, to perceive ourselves in the dual platform, subject, object as an object, but it is impossible. That is what many masters mean when they say give up the searching. You can find only when you give up the searching. And this is this searching what you have to give up. You must to give up this searching, to the searching to try to perceive. In the objective dimension, in the objective world, the subjectivity. This is a subject problem that you cannot find a solution in the objective reality. But pay attention, we say it is not possible to realize, to perceive, to know your real nature on the dual platform. But it is possible to perceive the reality of what you are, your authenticity, in a different way. Not by found it as an object, but by being it. Because in order to perceive something or somebody or an object, you need space, a distance between you and what you perceive. You can perceive people because there is a distance from your body to that body. You can perceive the stars. You can perceive a table. You can perceive cameras. You can perceive objects because there is a distance between you and what you perceive. There is a distance between the subject and the object. But what you really are, your real nature, the self, has no distance from you. There is no distance between you and yourself. There is no distance between you and observation. There is no distance between you and consciousness. So your efforts to look for yourself like something that is distant from you are futile. So the only way to know yourself is to be yourself. And you need to learn the art of being. The art of being. In Hebrew, we have a book, Sefer HaIkarim, the book HaIkarim, of the Rabbi Yosef אלבו. כמו שאמר החכם, כששאלו אותו, אם היה יודע את מהותו של האל, והוא השיב, אילו ידעתיו היטיב. ספר העיקרים in the article 2, chapter 30, מאמר שני, פרק למד. He said, as the wise man said, when they asked him if he knew the essence of God, his answer was, if I knew him, I would be him. And he is tremendously right. Because the only way to know consciousness is to be consciousness. The only way to know the self is to be the self. The only way to know your real nature is to be the only reality that you can be. Because you cannot be something else. To be the self. We go and perceive my voice, my form. We can perceive this room. We perceive objects. And that is easy. We can direct our attention to the hand, to the moon. You can direct your attention to my voice. But if I ask you, direct your attention to what hear my voice. To that what perceive my form. What you will do. If you try to situate yourself in some place in your head, in your brain, and feel yourself as some sensation, some energy, some subtle presence of energy. That sensation, doesn't matter how subtle, will be an object. Even if you feel a light, you are a light, you are a presence, that will be another sensation. And that sensation will be another object. So, whatever direction you try to take is wrong, inside or outside. If you go inside and you try to find a place inside, it's wrong. Or you try to find a place outside, it's wrong. כי לא בשמיים היא, לא מעבר לים, כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד. Because it is near, very, very near. So whatever you move is wrong. Any direction is a mistake. But simultaneously, doesn't matter where you move, you cannot separate even from a moment from truth, from the self, from consciousness. Doesn't matter where you move and how much you move, and you make this mistake to look yourself somewhere, whatever direction you choose will be wrong, but will not take you even 1 millimeter from what you really are, from consciousness, from observation. We continue next lecture.
Gabara, gadapa, sada bagare, sada bagare, gai sare. Sada bagare, gai sare. जा तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं. जा तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं, तो से नहीं. Gabara.